These are amazing times, and in order for us to wake up, we need a wake-up call. And if you can frame the circumstances to see that's an opportunity for everybody to pause and retreat from their lives, and by removing the constant stimulation in their external environment that reminds them of who they think they are as a personality, they're not going to the same places, they're not seeing the same people, they're not doing the same things, and they're actually confined to kind of a personalized retreat in the comfort of their own home. Now, the beauty behind this is who you're going to emerge as. And sure, the conditions in our environment are causing us to be uncertain. And in uncertainty, when things, we can't predict certain things, we move from everything that's predictable and known to this realm called the unknown. And if we're truly going to make a difference in the world, we have to be creative. The problem is that when we're threatened by circumstances in our external environment, our response to those circumstances causes us to move into a very primitive state, a response from the autonomic nervous system that drives the body into what's called the sympathetic response, a fight or flight response. So in that emergency mode, the brain and the body go into an alarm state because there's a threat or a danger that we're perceiving in our outer environment. Now, for the short term, that's okay because all organisms can cope with short-term stress. But if our response to the environment is keeping that stress response going on for an extended period of time, stress is when the brain and body are knocked out of homeostasis. Stress is when the brain and body are knocked out of balance. So people, when they react to circumstances that are unpredictable, that are uncertain, that they can't control an outcome, or they have the perception that things are going to get worse, it's the exact motive that turns on that fight or flight response. So now when the person's living in fear, they're mobilizing enormous amounts of energy for some danger in their outer world. Now, there's only a certain amount of energy in the body, and if there's no energy in the inner environment for growth and repair, we become more susceptible to the conditions in our outer environment. In other words, our response in fear and aggression and frustration and pain and suffering actually weakens the organism. So now, in these times, we have to become conscious about our relationship with our body. We have to become aware that we are amazing human beings that come fully loaded with an immune system that combats bacteria and viruses, cancer cells, funguses, and molds that happen on a moment-to-moment basis. And so let's just say that in your normal life, you're reacting to the traffic, you're reacting to your coworkers, you're reacting to the news, and your response to any one of those circumstances in your outer environment causes you to feel some of those limited emotions. So I say to you, Brian, why are you angry? Why are you upset? Why are you frustrated? Why are you in pain? So if you say unconsciously or even consciously, it's the traffic, it's the news, it's my coworker that's making me feel and think this way, what you're really saying is you're vulnerable to your environment because something in your outer world is actually controlling and influencing how you think and feel. So anything that's controlling you, or you have no control over, you are, or think you have no control over, you are a victim to your environment. And it is that consciousness that causes us to become more susceptible to anything in our outer environment. And so the immune system becomes compromised, the internal system of our internal environment that's responsible for metabolism, assimilation, growth, and repair. So our research shows that, well, first of all of our training, all of our work that we've done, everybody that's listening to this show is looking for answers because they believe that there is more to reality than this dream. And it's an instinct that we have that never seems to go away. And that feeling that sometimes is difficult to describe has brought people to search for greater information, for greater truth. And so the relationship that we have with our body tells us that when people understand that change is to be greater than their body, to be greater than the conditions in their environment, and to be able to sustain that type of change for an extended period of time, then all of the training, all of our practice, all of our meditations, all of our transformation, all of our awareness is for times like these. This is where now we have to apply everything we've learned. We're out of the bleachers now and we're on the playing field. So our research shows that, yeah, fear and those stress hormones actually suppress the immune response. But if people understood how powerful their immune system really is, that if they traded that fear for gratitude, and I know that may not be a whole lot of things to be grateful for, but if you live in survival, you see limited possibilities, because in stress and in survival, you will begin to select scenarios in your mind to prepare for the worst thing that could happen. Now, that's a kind of a limited imagination, but if you trade that emotional state for an elevated emotion like love or wholeness or inspiration or gratitude or thankfulness, our research shows that by converting from that sympathetic nervous system and teaching the body that it's safe in the present moment and beginning to activate elevated emotions, to understanding whether we create our life matter to matter in separation, or we actually create from the field, from a frequency of energy, to begin to produce effects in three-dimensional reality in the material world. So you and I have been trained to pay attention in a certain way. Tie your shoe, watch the stairs, watch the car. You could fall down and break your neck. And the alarm of paying attention as a kid causes us to narrow our focus on the material world. We narrow our focus on physical things. And when the arousal of those emergency chemicals are heightened, it causes our senses to become heightened. And the very fact of becoming materialists causes us to experience three-dimensional reality in separation. In other words, everything physical, whether it's an object, a place, a person, a body, whatever it is, we experience through our senses, and I'm here and you're there, and there's space between us, and if there's space between us, there's time between us. And so if I'm here in three-dimensional reality and I say I want to go to my car, I have to become aware that I'm here. That's one point of awareness, and my car is another point of awareness. So I'm separate from my car. So now I get up and I move my body through space, and when I move through space, I experience time. If I want to shorten the time, I move faster. If I want to lengthen the time, I move slower. So then there's me here, and then people have their dreams, whatever they are, their wealth, their health, their freedom. And in their mind, because they understand the process of getting things, they say, okay, I'm going to get that new house. And they start dreaming about that new house. And then they say, okay, how am I going to get that house? Okay, I'm going to work more hours. I'm going to sacrifice and save these things. I'm going to do more of this. I'm going to work on the weekends. And they're figuring it out as a predictable matter-to-matter outcome. And so they're living in lack and separation because they place their dreams 2 years, 5 years, 10 years in the future based on what they know about themselves and accomplishing it in the past. So then they're living, waiting for the event to occur in lack and separation so they can feel the emotion of why do people want abundance? They want to be free. So they're waiting for their abundance to occur to feel freedom. And so the whole entire life, they're living in lack and separation for that event to occur. Now, that's okay because that's creating matter to matter. That's creating in separation. But if you are going to begin to create from the field instead of from matter, something amazing happens to us automatically. Like if you see someone in that car, you see someone with that wardrobe, you see someone with that hairstyle, you see someone with those things, and you experience separation or lack, your brain naturally starts seeing that you could have that. And next thing you know, you see the car and then you pause for a moment and your brain starts putting you in the scene. You're driving the car, you're wearing the scarf, you're wearing the wardrobe, you're getting those things. Your brain naturally, because we're creators, begins to imagine. The problem is that people are so impatient that when it doesn't happen, they come back to their senses, they're back to three-dimensional reality, and it doesn't occur. Now they experience more separation. So what do? If you're in lack, you're in separation, and you're in survival, you force outcomes, you control outcomes, you try to manipulate outcomes, you fight for those outcomes because you're matter trying to change matter. And so there's only a certain number of things we can do. We can compete, we can do whatever, but for the most part, we're enslaved into three-dimensional reality. And the hormones of stress then give the body a rush of adrenaline, and we feel our body more. And the arousal causes us to put our attention on our environment, on objects and people and places and things, and we are thinking about the predictable future, trying to predict the future based on the past. And where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and all your attention and energy is immersed in this three-dimensional reality. And now you got to play by the rules, and everything takes time for you to get. So we teach people how to take their attention off their body, off the people in their life, off the things they own, the objects they have, the places they need to go, not think about the future and the past. Train them with a formula to get beyond themselves and disconnect from all of their attention and energy out of this three-dimensional reality. Take their attention off of everything that's known. And if you do that properly and you're not aware of your body, if you're not aware of the people in your life that you identify with, you're not thinking about your cell phone or any object, you're not thinking about where you're sitting, where you work, where you need to go, you're not thinking about the future or the past, you're in the present moment, then what are you? You're conscious.